AM 560, The Answer.
The content and information on Real Estate Airwaves is for informational purposes only and should not be regarded as legal advice. Real Estate Airwaves does not provide legal advice and make no warranty or representation regarding the information on the show. Real Estate Airwaves shall not assume any liability for damages of any kind whatsoever relating to the use, misuse, or reliance of this information. The listener should conduct their own investigations, analysis, due diligence, draw their own conclusions, and make their own decisions. Any areas concerning taxes or specific legal or technical questions should be referred to lawyers, accountants, consultants, brokers, or other professionals licensed, qualified, or authorized to render such advice.
No fluff, no hype, no gurus. You're listening to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer. Get the inside information you need to find, fund, fix, and flip real estate in today's market. Joshua Ingalls and Vincent Pace share their secrets to minimize risk, maximize profit, and get deals done. We're pulling the curtain back and sharing the knowledge you need to succeed in real estate. And now, your hosts, Joshua and Vincent.
Thanks for joining us. Today, we are going to be talking about why you should be staging all of your homes to sell them for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. You're listening to Real Estate Airwaves. My name is Joshua Ingalls. I'm an active real estate investor here in the Chicagoland area. Over the last 3 years, I've flipped over 60 fix and flip deals. I'm also an active real estate broker with United Real Estate, and today I'm really excited. I have a stager in studio that I've worked with on many deals, and she does a fantastic job. So thank you for joining us, Nora.
Thank you.
Yeah, Nora Flaherty is the owner of Stage to Sell, which is a full-service staging company in Illinois, and she has over 15 years of experience. She was staging before it was cool to stage. She has been featured on Fox News Chicago, The Lou Manfredini Show, and many other local publications as a local expert in both vacant and furnished home staging. So again, Nora, I'm really excited to have you here today. So why don't you tell us a little bit about what is staging and why is that important?
Well, simply stated, staging is just preparing any house, any price point, any area to appeal to the largest amount of buyers. Basically, what you want to do is downplay some of the negative features, highlight the positive features. Every home has both. So when we go in, what we want to do is assess what we need to do to show that off to the buyer. I think there's a lot of misconceptions about what staging is. You absolutely want to properly prepare a house. I work with many investors that do a fabulous job, such as yourself doing the rehab itself. That is absolutely key. Cleaning a house is important when you work with an occupied home. Decluttering is important. But the staging is what happens after all of that is finished. Many times we're overcoming objections. I worked on a home recently, and the agent didn't need to tell me what the objection was as I walked in. It had a very, very small foyer.
Yeah.
And in many cases, the homeowner isn't thinking about that, even the investor, because when you walk in first, there's maybe 2-3 people walking in. But as you know, as a broker, when you walk in with, the clients, sometimes their kids, mom and dad might be in tow. What was a decent space is now very small and cramped.
Yep.
So what we did, because it was open to the living room, just a larger rug, angled in towards the living room space, move the entry table into the living room slightly with a bench, for them to sit on, visually enlarge the space.
Yeah, it's so critical, especially like what you're saying. Maybe you're in a house and it's a small house and you're thinking, well, if I stage it, it might actually make the house seem smaller because you're going to bring in furniture. And I would agree with that if you're going to stage it on your own and bring your own furniture, which might be oversized, but bringing in a professional like yourself, you're able to arrange that space to maximize it. And now this small house no longer seems small anymore.
No, absolutely. And I have a lot of clients that, the misconception again is that they think, well, if you have a small house, we don't need to stage a lot of the space. When in fact, we really kind of have to prove to the buyer coming in that yes, in fact, you can get your bedroom furniture in this bedroom, or there is room for a dining room table in this combo living room, dining room.
Yeah, I know I've sold many small houses in the past, and if we didn't stage it and there was a room, one of the first questions we get is, well, where am I going to put my dresser, or where am I going to put this? So having a stager, we would easily be able to overcome those type of objections with a small house. And then more importantly, sometimes you get a house that's just not a good floor plan. And if you don't stage it, all potential buyers are going to come through there, and they're really going to be confused and not know what to do, and they're not going to be able to visualize what the potential is for that space. So tell us a little bit about maybe homes with awkward layouts.
Well, awkward layouts are spaces that are just confusing, as you mentioned. Many times using the right furniture, using a color to draw the eye to a certain direction. There's a lot of little tricks that we can do to make a space feel more appealing. There are some, like townhomes, for example, where there's what the builder meant to be a loft space. Mm-hmm. But if it's not staged, it just seems like a wide hallway. And as we know, square footage equals dollars.
Yep. So exactly. And again, making that space seem more usable and more functional. If it is larger, we're able to incorporate that square footage. Or if you have that space where you don't know what to put in that area, maximizing it and actually giving people that idea is really important. So, a lot of, I guess, objections I hear from other investors, is a lot of investors spend a lot of money to do the rehab. And so a lot of investors come to this point where they're like, well, I've already spent 50, 60, 100 grand on this renovation. Mm-hmm. Why should I spend more money to stage it?
No, absolutely. And the first time through with investors, that is the number one objection that I do get. And I understand, it seems that way, but when you've invested so much money into the house, it's like, a NASCAR driver being fabulous the first 49 times around, but they don't have enough gas to finish it. They've shown that only 19% of buyers can visualize the possible use of a space. And I think one of the negatives, one of the drawbacks that investors have is they're in that 19%. Yeah. I mean, when you can walk into a house and envision moving walls, moving a staircase, opening up a kitchen, you are absolutely in that 19%. But unfortunately, your buyers are not.
Yeah, I mean, I've even encountered with certain buyers where we offer them a credit to build out a closet, and yet they have problems even visualizing how a closet in the master bedroom is going to look. Nevertheless, an entire house. So you're absolutely right. I encounter that all the time. As investors, of course, we look at opportunities, we look at things, we can visualize what it's going to be. But the reality is the general public, for the most part, if they come into a house and you don't show them that, it's going to be hard for them to do that. And not only that, getting pictures before staging and after staging is complete. They look, a house will look like two different houses.
Yeah, very dramatic change. And as you mentioned before, too, it can affect scale. I've worked with many builders that, before drywall goes up, the house feels really, really big. They put the drywall up, it feels really, really small, when in essence, we know the room's not changing. Well, furniture can do the same thing. The right placement, the right scale.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are some of the top mistakes you see people make when they list their home for sale?
Well, obviously I encounter it, you encounter it every day, but one of the big experts, HGTV, has done studies with all of their experts across the board, and they narrowed it down to the top 25 mistakes. I think the top two are the most critical. The first one is overpricing a home. I mean, You hear it all the time. People say, well, I just want to try for a week. I just want to try for 2 weeks. When we know that that's the most important time when buyers are coming through. There's buyers that have been out there looking, waiting for houses to hit the market, and you've lost those buyers when they come through. Yep. The feedback, no one's going to come through and say, I'm not going to buy your house because it's overpriced. What they're going to say is things like, my buyer's looking for a finished basement. My buyer thought the bedrooms were small. So what they're actually saying to you is the other houses that we're looking at in this price point have finished basements.
Yeah, what I've found is when someone overprices their home, what they're in fact doing is they're helping their competition and houses that are priced that are that square footage or have that finished basements sell that much faster because they're comparing your house, which might be smaller and might not have all the amenities of what a real house of that square footage really should be. So as you said, overpricing a home is one of the largest mistakes that I've seen myself. And, when a house is new, that's the time when you want to catch people, because once your house has been listed for just a couple weeks, it's no longer that bright, shiny new object.
Yeah, that excitement is gone.
Yep. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. Stay tuned.
Mortgage rates are still near historic lows. If you're looking to buy your first home, upgrade, downsize, invest, or refinance, contact Matthew Ewald from Draper & Kramer Mortgage Corp. Matthew has been a trusted mortgage consultant for over 13 years and has options to fit your unique needs. With 40-plus investors, call Matthew today at 630-376-0484. That's 630-376-0484. Or apply online at mortgagechicagoland.com. Company NMLS 2551, NMLS 198323, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee, Equal Housing Lender.
If you want to do real estate deals, you need to learn the systems. Visit fliptoriches.com for info on workshops happening the first Tuesday of every month. Meet me, Joshua Ingalls, and other active real estate investors in the Chicagoland area. We give the most value possible with networking and information for new and seasoned investors. We meet the first Tuesday of every month at 3009 North Kedzie in Chicago at 6 p.m. Check out fliptoriches.com. That's fliptoriches.com for all the info now.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. It's all about making money with real estate. Now, back to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. You're listening to Real Estate Airwaves. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. Nora Flaherty is in studio, and she's the owner of Staged to Sell. And the first 10 people that contact us will be getting 20% off staging a vacant home, which is a fantastic deal. So thank you so much for offering that to our listeners.
Thank you.
Awesome. So before the break, we were talking about top mistakes that investors and homeowners make. And, that number one mistake, of course, is pricing. If you overprice a home, you're actually helping your competition sell their homes faster. And so that's number one. What's another big mistake you see that people make when they're listing their home?
Well, the number two mistake also helps your neighbors sell their house. So if you want to do that, they'll thank you for that too. The number two mistake is failing to showcase or properly present the home. Mm-hmm. That covers quite a few different things. Staging itself is not a magic pill. It does require an entire team. One of the things that we tell people is you want to make sure the house is finished. I know as an investor many times, all the time is money. Many times you'll get a call from a realtor that's showing in the area, and they just, please, this buyer's so serious, let them in. Just resist the temptation, wait until it's finished. You want the house finished. The next thing, obviously, is make sure everything is done in the house. I mean, again, you get down towards the end of the project, and I know money gets tight. Fill the nail holes, caulk the baseboards. Don't overlook the things that the buyers see when they come in. And then, obviously, you want to make sure that you leave enough for the staging itself. I do understand on the first project things are tight, and many people are skeptical, and I understand that. When they see the results, that tends to be the first thing they budget in after the fact. So you want to make sure that you leave the money to stage the property. And then part of also presentation is professional photos.
Yep, absolutely.
You do not want to be taking cell phone photos after you've invested so much money from start to finish on this project. You know,
I was looking at listings just a couple days ago, and I was amazed I was looking at other rehabbers' work that they did, and they did great work. But they used, obviously, a cell phone to take pictures of the work, and you couldn't tell that necessarily that this was a fully renovated project. So, absolutely, professional photos, video are extremely, extremely important. Another thing I'd add to that, before you can stage it, you want to have the house clean, too. I've gone into many job sites, or they look like job sites, but they're supposedly done houses, and it's an absolute mess. And so when people come into a messy house, it almost puts in their mind, well, what corners maybe did this investor take? It just starts putting doubt in buyer's mind.
Absolutely. Not only cleaning it prior to, but maintaining it.
Yeah.
You don't want to make it feel like you've forgotten the home and moved on. Keep the lawns, nicely mowed. Make sure the interior is dusted and kept clean at all times. That is something, and that's why I team up with investors. That is something that I look for, too, when I go through and look at the properties. If I know that you've had an open house, I'll go through afterwards. It's a compliment when people sit down and want to stay in the house. They're envisioning themselves in there.
Yeah.
It's just not so nice when the pillows are all over the place afterwards. So we want to make sure it looks good for the next showings.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. The maintenance of the property, in the winter times, we're winter now. We have a crew that specifically goes to all of our properties and shovels and salts. If somebody has to climb over a 3-foot pile of snow to get into the house, that's not a good thing. Automatically start putting in people's mind, is this a foreclosure or is this a fully renovated product? Right?
No, absolutely. And every house has a story to tell. And when the buyer has to step over that, or the house looks like you don't care anymore, that's when they start feeling like they can get a deal, that maybe you're frustrated.
Yeah, absolutely. Are there any other mistakes that you see investors making? You've mentioned quite a few, and I agree with you on all of them. Is there anything else you see a lot of investors doing, or homeowners?
Many times, well, there's a few different ways that you can prepare a property, and many times, and I see this more with first-time investors, they get a little bit too personal with the property. They're reliving what they would love to have done with their kitchen. They wind up making change orders because they thought they'd like these light fixtures. They put them in, and they just don't work. When I talk about appealing to the majority of buyers, we're not trying to appeal to everyone. You want to stay true to the style of the house, but at the same time, have a plan in the beginning and stick to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And try to be as neutral as possible with your paint colors and your finishes, because like Nora, what you're saying, I've gone into houses where somebody might want this in their house, but that's not what's going to sell it to the majority of buyers. So absolutely. Now, the market right now is pretty hot. I mean, a lot of times we're getting multiple offers, at least on my listings. I know a lot of other realtors and investors, the same thing is happening. Not only my fully flipped properties, but also my regular houses. So if the market's so good, why should we spend money extra to stage it?
Well, I don't know of any time that you'd want to leave money on the table. There's never a good time. Buyers, basically, as they're looking at houses in a hot market, yes, they're making decisions quickly, and you do want to help your seller sell quickly. And for some sellers, that's their main motivation. They have to sell fast.
Yep.
But obviously, you also want to try and maximize on the sale price. And by properly staging the house and showcasing it, houses that look better always sell for more money.
Absolutely. I know, Nora, we were talking about this before we started the show, but there's some investors, some buyers who do a very, very, very light rehab. I wouldn't even call it a rehab. I would call it cleaning it out and maybe painting it. And then they're staging it, and yet they're able to achieve similar prices to somebody who might have spent that $50,000-$60,000 to renovate it because the staging makes the house feel more expensive because of the type of furniture you're using. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. When buyers buy a house, I mean, they're not buying the 2x4s. I'm not saying that they're not very happy when there's a new furnace or new windows, but buying a house is an emotional purchase. So when they can come in and envision first holidays in front of the fireplace, we absolutely do help them see themselves in the house by putting in the right furniture, like you said, the right price point, and I've even had some lower price point homes that we put in very high-end furniture. I mean, we're selling the dream, and that's what they're buying.
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because sometimes you'll go into a house. You want to leave the furniture all the way up until as close to closing as possible. Because I've seen it before where a buyer will go into a house after the staging is removed. And I'll say, wait a second, this isn't the house that I had an offer that we're buying. Yep. So it's very important to keep that staging in the house as long as possible. And then, of course, if the buyer, for whatever reason, something happens with the financing, there's a lot of things that could go wrong, it's ready to go for that next buyer.
Absolutely. I've done spec homes for builders, and the funny thing is if the buyer buys another home, which a lot of times the purpose is not to sell the home that's staged when you're working with a builder, we're using that to sell some of their other houses.
Yep.
And I've gone into those houses that the buyers have purchased, and the funny thing is you'll see the furniture in the exact same spot.
Ah, yeah, because they don't have that vision. They're just emulating what you've already done for them. And yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. Now, I know there's some investors that might not have staged the property at all initially, and they're kind of up in the air. Should I do a price reduction or should I stage it? What kind of advice would you give to someone like that? Should they just do the price reduction or how should they do that?
Well, we're assuming that the property was priced properly in the beginning. Yep. And I'm not saying there isn't a reason to have price adjustments. We don't do reductions. Yep. Other houses may have come on the market and they're priced differently and the market has changed since you've listed it. Absolutely, at that point, you want to do an adjustment. The problem with doing price reductions is once you start reducing the price, buyers assume there's something wrong with the house.
Yeah, absolutely. And then staging, after you stage, of course, getting new photos, new professional photos with the staging. People may not even realize it was the same house as what the pictures they were looking at before online.
Absolutely.
The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 10 people to contact us will be getting a 20% off their next vacant staging home. We'll see you soon.
You're an investor, a lender in commercial real estate, or you're an attorney, and you use a title company. National Title Solutions wants a chance to be your title company. Give them a shot at your business, and you'll find out why they're the best choice. Most title companies keep banking hours and have no flexibility. National Title Solutions will do whatever it takes on your timetable. You'll save money, too. Give them an opportunity and see the difference. Convenient offices all over. National Title Solutions. Call 800-NTS-2700. 800-NTS-2700. Mortgage rates are still near historic lows. If you're looking to buy your first home, upgrade, downsize, invest, or refinance, contact Matthew Ewald from Draper & Kramer Mortgage Corp. Matthew has been a trusted mortgage consultant for over 13 years and has options to fit your unique needs. With 40-plus investors, call Matthew today at 630-376-0484. That's 630-376-0484. Or apply online at mortgagechicagoland.com. Company NMLS 2551, NMLS 198323, Illinois Residential Mortgage Licensee, Equal Housing Lender.
The Chicagoland Real Estate Investment Group invites you to build your network in real estate investing and learn from the region's experts. There's no charge to attend, and there won't be any hard sell for expensive courses. Join us on the fourth Monday each month in the North Shore. For more information, visit us at meetup.com/ChicagolandREI. Again, that's meetup.com/ChicagolandREI. Meetup.com/ChicagolandREI.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim. or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. Now, back to the show that gives you the insider info. Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. Today we have Nora Flaherty of Stage to Sell in studio, and she's sharing with us the secrets to help you sell your homes for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And one of those secrets, of course, is staging to really maximize your sale price on your home. And the first 10 people to contact us will be actually getting a 20% off coupon. This is incredible, off of a vacant staging for one of their vacant homes. Again, Nora, thanks so much for being here. What do, realtors, we've been talking about a lot working with investors. Now, realtors, they also should have a stager on their team as well. Even if the realtor is not necessarily paying for the staging, it's good to have a strategic partner like yourself. I know I've had you go to my clients' homes in the past to give them an idea. For example, you may be in a house that's not fully renovated, right? The house may be outdated. It might have the old oak flooring. It might have the old oak trim, might have the oak cabinets. And there's oak everywhere, which was popular, 20 years ago, but oak is not in anymore. And so we have to offset some of that. And that's where staging can help you do that. So tell us a little bit about some of the realtors that you've helped in the past with their clients to help them get their homes sold for the most amount of money.
Well, staging can absolutely help with things that are existing in homes. One point you made that I'd like to cover before we go into this is I do work with a tremendous amount of realtors, and in the past they have thought, yes, I want to add credibility to my business, have an extra service, and maybe pay for the consultation. I honestly insist that realtors not pay. Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the main reasons is I believe sellers need to have some, quote, skin in the game.
Yep.
If they are not invested in it, they're not going to maintain it. Again, like I said before, staging is not a magic pill. I don't want the house to be staged for photos and not look the same way when buyers come through.
Sure.
I do have some realtors that offer to reimburse maybe for a consult at closing. But initially, the outlay is the homeowners. If they were going to have the house painted or anything done, they would be paying for that too. So basically what we go in, and I do tell homeowners I'm not here to rip out everything. We're not starting from scratch. If a house needed a new kitchen, for example, we price accordingly. Mm-hmm. If you had to put in a brand new kitchen from scratch, you're going to see statistics to show about a 58% return for a new kitchen at that point. So that does not make sense. If you need new handles, a new faucet, 110, 150% return, that makes sense all day long. But again, asking what realtors think, I mean, I get the feedback constantly that they wouldn't even list a house unless it were staged. They're investing in the photos, the virtual tours, their time and their reputation. So they want to make sure that these houses sell quickly and for the most amount of money. But another thing is the National Association of Realtors has an independent study done every year for them, an outside company that is not done by them themselves. One of the things that they say is that 96% of realtors have been saying that some or most of their buyers are affected by staging. So those numbers are pretty staggering. I've seen that myself. 28% are saying that buyers are more willing to overlook property faults. Now, as agents, as a stager, we don't cover things by any means, but what we mean by that, I've had properties that have backed to main roads, and buyers have said to agents, I absolutely will not consider it if it backs to a main road. We make it fabulous, and it sells. I had an instant recently where property backed to the main road. It was a split level with a one-car garage. The agent went through. The buyer didn't fit their needs, and that happens. Agent went back to the office and was bragging about the house, said it looked fabulous. It wasn't their listing. It was another agent's listing, but another agent overheard it, and they were going to be showing a two-story with a two-car garage in the same neighborhood, and they said, no, you really need to take them through this. And they said, no, my buyer will not consider it. Short story is they went through the house. The buyer bought that house back into the main road,
Wow.
1-car garage split.
Wow. So that's an incredible case study of how staging, again, now to only have a 1-car garage is almost functionally obsolete. On top of that, not only backing to the busy street, and then and then on top of that being a tri-level, which is much less desirable. So absolutely, staging is incredible. That's why I use it in my business. That's why we have Nora here in studio today. And of course, when you're meeting with potential sellers, if you're a real estate agent and you're talking with a potential seller, you need to have a stager on your team. I know you talked about one agent who will literally bring a group of people with her to her listing appointments. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I have some agents that are doing that. Homeowners are busy, and when you go in, they want all the answers to their questions. And as a professional, you should never profess to know the answers to everything. I do not. If it's a legal question, you consult an attorney. If it's, marketing, you go to your agent. And if it's a staging question, I'm on hand. So many times the stagers will ask because they want, from the time the agent walks in the house, she deals with a lot of clients that are relocating. And from the time we walk in the house, they maybe have 3 days to list the house, and we need answers quickly.
Yeah, that's a great point. And if a realtor brings a team with them to that listing presentation, it just builds a credibility and builds that team aspect. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 10 people to contact us will be getting 20% off their vacant home staging.
Real estate agents are cheap. Many agents will only market your home on the MLS and put a sign up. Demand more. Joshua Ingalls invests in aggressive marketing, including high-def video, 3D virtual tours, professional photography, a custom website, and mailers, so you can get the most amount of money for your home in the shortest amount of time. Call Joshua Ingalls, broker with United Real Estate Chicago, at 630-544-1504 for a free home valuation, or visit hometeamil.com to learn more.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. Now, back to the show with real estate info you won't find anywhere else. Real Estate Airwaves is on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. Today, we are in studio with Nora Flaherty of Staged to Sell, and she does a fantastic job at staging. And if the first 10 people that contact us will be getting 20% off a vacant home staging, which is an incredible deal. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. So when we're doing a project, going back to working with investors, at what point should an investor get the stager involved in the project or the process?
Well, assuming you don't have a stager on your team, the answer is as soon as possible. It's never too soon. I have so many investors that say they want to wait until the property is finished and then we walk through. Many times, if the property needs a special piece of furniture, I am not opposed to purchasing something, so I need time to source that. The other thing is if, for example, the dining room fixture needs to be moved over to accommodate a buffet, that's something that can be much easily done early on in the process.
Yeah, absolutely. I know, Nora, you've given us some great tips on some of the houses we've done. Example, matching the cool and warm colors. You don't want to be contrasting all the time. So getting a stager involved early on the process can even help you with things like color choices and finishes to a limited degree. But that's going to, again, just make it help you sell your home for the most amount of money. So if an investor or homeowner's on a really tight budget, or they're on a tight budget, they don't have a lot of money, maybe they went over on the rehab and they didn't expect to, what are some key areas or rooms that they should focus on if they're on a tight budget?
The number one area, the number one impression is that first 15 to 30 seconds when a buyer walks into a house. So in many cases, that would be your entry, living room, and dining room. That's what tells them that this is the house for them or not. Basically, we say the rest of the house confirms or denies their decision. Mm-hmm. The next key area, we all know kitchens and baths sell houses. Yep. You know, if you go to a kitchen and bath show, it's no accident that their vignettes are beautifully staged. You know, they're selling their product. They're going for the emotion. You know, and then the other area is the master bedroom. I always say the master suite, that's the person paying for the mortgage. So we want to make sure that they're really impressed too.
Yeah, you only get one opportunity to make a first impression. So I can't agree with you more. That's why, especially on the MLS, you need to have a good front picture even of the house to even get people to look at the house, and then properly ordering the photos. So that way people are wow, right off the bat to get them, number one, to the house, and then number two, that they keep that great feeling, at least initially. And then, like you said, the rest of the home will confirm that. So how long does it typically take to stage a home? And then what's the typical process like when somebody's going to stage a home?
Well, like I said, we start early in the process, and it really depends on how much the client wants or needs. Many of my clients have packages in place that we've discussed early on, and we revisit those as trends change. But many times I'm just going in to do the physical staging. So when I walk into a house, we will assess what's needed. I'll maybe shoot some floor plans, take some pictures, bring that back to make the determinations on scale, you know, what I'm bringing in. The actual staging day itself, again, like I mentioned before, we want to make sure that everything is done. It's not time effective for contractors and myself to be in a house. So once they're out of the house, I typically tell my clients it takes 2 days to stage. It does not take us 2 days. We bring in a team necessary to get it done in 1 day. But I don't want a photographer on my heels and then all of a sudden, you know, the truck broke down on the way there, or, you know, unforeseen things happen.
Sure.
You know, and then there's times I'll stage a house and I'll go, what was I thinking? It's all about the feeling. I might put something in and think, no, that just doesn't feel right.
Yeah.
You know, I want to be the one to make that determination, not your first showing.
Absolutely. Again, and then giving time for the photos so it's properly staged. Everything is in the house. You know, a lot of time, again, we're investors and it's go, 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 go. Some things you need to make sure you give yourself enough time so you get the proper photos, you get the proper effect. Because even maybe you say, well, the staging doesn't have to be perfect for the photos. Well, you may not even get the people to the door in the first place. So that's important. And then tell us a little bit about some of the accessories you do. Let's say, you know, again, let's say somebody didn't paint their house, but we're trying to overcome maybe some dull paint or some bad paint choices, where you can kind of tie in a room that might otherwise be kind of hard to tie in if they're a homeowner.
No, absolutely. The extreme case I had recently, a credit union asked me to go take a look at a property, went out there, and they had painted the home. The outside was gorgeous. It was a traditional red brick, you know, beautiful home, sealed driveway. Walked inside, and they wound up doing contemporary colors. So what we did was, by using what we call movable color, which is pillows, art, and accessories, we tied the contemporary and the traditional together, making it more transitional. So again, making it more appealing to the mass audience. It was not necessary to repaint. We achieved what we needed to with art and accessories.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's one of the biggest mistakes I see a lot of investors make, is that they don't keep their house consistent. They might have a bathroom super modern, and then the rest of the home is traditional, and you're like, what the heck? This doesn't fit with the rest of the house. So, but using a stager, if you make that mistake, or you're a homeowner and you did that, there's ways to overcome that. So that's a really great point. The number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. The first 10 people to contact us will be getting an actually 20% off a vacant home staging with Nora Flaherty of Stage to Sell. We'll see you soon.
You're an investor, a lender in commercial real estate, or you're an attorney, and you use a title company. National Title Solutions wants a chance to be your title company. Give them a shot at your business, and you'll find out why they're the best choice. Most title companies keep banking hours and have no flexibility. National Title Solutions will do whatever it takes on your timetable. You'll save money, too. Give them an opportunity and see the difference. Convenient offices all over. National Title Solutions. Call 800-NTS-2700. 800-NTS-2700.
Need capital for your real estate investment? Let Barnett Real Estate Investment Finance be your partner for fast, flexible, and certain capital. Since 2008, they've funded millions of home flippers, landlords, auction buyers, wholesalers, and more. And they'd like their next deal to be with you. Submit your preliminary application now at barnettcapital.com/prelim or call them at 224-205-7266. Again, that's 224-205-7266.
AM 560, The Answer. It's all about making money with real estate. Now, back to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer.
Welcome back. Today, we have been talking about why you should be staging your homes to sell them for the most amount of money in the shortest amount of time. And again, we have Nora Flaherty of Stage to Sell in studio. And the first 10 people to contact us will be getting 20% off a vacant home staging. To take advantage of that, contact us at 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. So, Nora, what are the different types of staging services available, and how much can someone expect to invest to do that?
We like to have services available for every client. Many clients are more hands-on, so we have what's called a walk-and-talk consultation. That's for the occupied home. We walk the client through the house, room by room, inside out. When I leave, they know everything they need to do to prepare their house. They can always call me, email me, text me afterwards, send me pictures, and I'll answer. Something like that typically starts around $225. Okay. So for a small investment, they can prepare their house. For my out-of-town clients, corporate clients, relocation clients, they want a report. There's an additional charge if there's reports, which would include photos, color suggestions, any kind of materials that might be needed. For vacant clients, they basically, depending on the size of the home, as we mentioned, it's not necessarily price point, but in our typical area, we can use price as a bit of a guide. So, for example, you can expect to see on a vacant home, say about $250,000, you're going to invest somewhere between like 1% to 3% for the actual staging. Yep. So, $250,000. If we use the 1%, if they're going to do minimal staging of $2,500, that includes all the furniture, the team, the delivery. That includes everything. For something like that, they're saying the average return on investment is about 5 to 8%. Wow. So using the low end of 5%, you see about a $12,000, $12,500 return. Yeah. So a net return of about $10,000 for a small investment.
That's a really great investment. Every dollar that you spend on a house, you should be getting at least $1 back. So you're doing that at a much higher rate, so that's phenomenal.
They're getting a good rate back for that, but as we always like to say, too, basically what we're trying to do is make sure the house sells in the shortest amount of time. More so for investors than anybody. Freeing up that money allows them additional opportunities.
Absolutely. Now, Nora, again, I just want to thank you so much for joining us today. What's the best way for people to contact you?
They can call me at 847-323-7027. Or email at nora@getstagedtosell.com.
Awesome. Well, again, thanks for joining us today. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. My pleasure.
And if you live in the Chicagoland area, make sure to come out on March 7th at 3009 North Kedzie at 6 p.m. We're going to be having our March 7th meeting. You can visit fliptoriches.com. Again, that's fliptoriches. I'd love to meet you. We have wholesalers there. We do speed networking, and we bring in all the local experts to really help you guys in your investing business. Again, the number here is 855-5-AIRWAVES, or you can visit realestateairwaves.com. Those first 10 people that contact us will be getting 20% off a vacant home staging, which is an incredible, incredible deal. We'll see you next week. Thanks for tuning in.
You've been listening to Real Estate Airwaves on AM 560, The Answer. Come back next Sunday at noon for more insider real estate information from Joshua and Vincent. You can listen to past shows, contact them, and get free exclusive content at realestateairwaves.com. That's realestateairwaves.com.